Hello, ladies and gentlemen, out there in Radio Land. Those Muckrakers coming to you live once again through the power of the internet. I'm Pat.
I'm Pete.
I'm Bobby.
And this is episode 112. In this episode, what are we doing, Pete?
We're talking about micronations, but really it leads into why rich people are fucking boring.
Or even just middle class people. Like, you know.
If you hit the lottery, really, you're going to go buy 3 Lamborghinis? You're not going to buy 80,000 prime acres and then declare it its own independent country?
I mean, I could definitely see myself doing that, but are all micronations owned by rich people?
No, they're usually owned by assholes, but we'll get into that.
Yeah. There's like a 6-year-old that has his own micronation. It's his bedroom, and he says he owns land in Antarctica, even though, you know, that's supposed to be like a place that no one owns. He says, no, I own it. He insisted it. I saw him at a meeting in a video.
It's going to be really funny when he's assassinated by Putin.
About 20% of Antarctica is not claimed. And in the Antarctic Treaty, Russia and the United States both do not claim any land in Antarctica, say that no one else can claim any more land in Antarctica. I think it's like South Africa, New Zealand, Chile, Arkansas, Argentina. Arkansas, just out the wild. Arkansas declared, 40 million acres in Antarctica.
We're tired of being last. God damn it!
Who's the biggest state now, huh? Alaska.
The first thing I'm gonna do whenever Muckrakers makes us rich is make Wesley his own sovereign nation and just give him the rest of Antarctica, so he'll have to contend with Russian spies coming to kill him every day.
Well,
God damn it! The spies tried to kill me again. I was eating a sandwich. It was made out of chicken paste, and they tried to corrupt me.
So there is a piece of land that is habitable, nominally habitable, that is actually not claimed by anyone. I don't know if either of you have ever heard of this, but it's called Bir to Will. And it is it's the consequence of a border dispute. And like all good border disputes, this one starts with the British. So cutting the line between Sudan and Egypt, because Egypt was kind of its own thing at this time. This was after Sykes-Picot. They were sort of decolonizing Egypt because Egypt was rebelling against the British, and they were like, it's too much trouble. Just let us manage the canal, and you can rule yourselves. Well, anyway,
I'm just going to say Sykes-Picot, the most devastating result of laziness that has ever happened in the history of the world.
Yeah, but anyway,
the second worst Pico since Boku no Pico.
So they wanted to make a border between Egypt and Sudan, a border that had never existed before. So they drew, you guessed it, a straight line. About 5 years later, they came back and said, wow, that straight line was a huge mistake. Because of like the ethnicities and languages and whatnot that are crossed by that border. So they drew a new line that instead of the straight one, it dips down into Sudan, comes back up to the straight line, and then fucks off in the west, taking up a huge part of southeast Egypt. That's actually some fairly prosperous like port towns and stuff. So after the British got out, Egypt wanted the straight line that gave them the good coastline. And Sudan wanted the later treaty, which gave them the good coastline. And as a result, this little trapezoid of land called Bir to Will that no one inhabits is completely unclaimed, because if Sudan claims it, Egypt will say that's them recognizing the straight line. Egypt gets the good ports. And if Egypt claims it, it means that they're telling Sudan, we accept the squiggly line, and Sudan gets the straight. So anyway, alarmingly, an American jackass decided that he was going to go there and declare it a nation so that his daughter could really be a princess. Yes, he is a card-carrying member of the NRA. Yes, he was a huge Trump supporter. And yes, he maintains this claim to Bir to Will to this day, to the recognition of absolutely fucking nobody.
This is why I hate This is why I hate micronations so much.
The first thing I heard from No Man's Land is I'm definitely going to go over there and claim it. And you're like, this asshole American.
It's already been claimed. It's already like it's not officially recognized as claimed by it. It's the only piece of land on Earth besides Antarctica, besides sections of Antarctica, that is not claimed by any one recognized country. because if either of the two parties claim it, they give up the good points. So it's a point of contention for Egypt and Sudan.
If people haven't figured out today, where our whole episode is about micronations, which
we announced that.
Oh, do we? Okay, so just if no one knows, a micronation is basically a small area, usually inside another nation, where someone just acclaims I'm a country, and then like they are recognized by absolutely nobody except for maybe their long-suffering spouse, because they all seem to have like a long-suffering, like it's usually a guy, it's usually like a long-suffering wife and like a family, and they're usually the ones that like are like, yeah, we have our own nation.
If you've seen that one episode of Family Guy, Pretoria, it's basically that, but in real life.
Yeah. That was not far off from the truth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Except you don't get diplomatic immunity that goes stomping around America.
In the plot of that episode, Pretoria was actually kind of a beer to will situation, in which in the town's charter and in the Constitution of the state of Rhode Island, 38 Spooner Street did not exist, and so therefore was not recognized by the United States as part of its sovereign territory. So Peter could declare himself his own country and get recognized and go to the United Nations, which he does.
Like, I know I was supposed to pick a favorite one, but I went through like a whole bunch of micronations for this episode, and I hated each one that I read about more than the one before it. I'm like,
it's usually some ANCAP asshole that's just like, I'm tired of the federal government.
Well, like one guy claims a huge swath of I think Western Australia, which is uninhabitable by human beings anyway.
Yeah.
And he's like, right, this is mine.
Yeah.
Right over here. This is a scorpion, keeps me warm at night.
Yeah. There's basically two types of micronations that have existed or that still exist, and they would be like de facto and de jure. So de facto is whenever a government screws up and someone who is very pedantic takes the situation to the nth degree, declaring themselves independent of the nation. And Australia is a wonderful example of that. So there were these farmers out on the west coast of Australia, like on a river, because most of the west coast is completely uninhabitable, and they were trying to get like land management from the Australian federal government like sorted out, and he got so frustrated. As a joke, he in a letter writing campaign, he styled himself as the Right Honorable Lord General something like that, and some government bureaucrat responded to him with the title. Now, according to Australian law, if the government responds to you with a specific title, you are now granted that title. So he declared himself a micronation. In this one little river valley, he declared himself a micronation.
The difference is, if anybody, like, the difference between this guy and like Idi Amin, the really horrible dictator. What country was it Idi Amin was the dictator of in the 70s?
Oh God, I can look it up. Hang on.
I want to say Nigeria, but I don't think that's right. But nonetheless, he declared himself, I believe, Lord of the birds of the air and the fishes of the sea, and like the last king of Scotland or something like that.
Uganda.
So he's a dictator.
He served as president of Uganda from 71 to 79, commonly known as Butcher of Uganda. He is estimated to have upwards of 40 children.
Yeah. So the only difference between him and any of the other micronation people is there were enough people that believed in him. It's really just having a support network that makes the difference between a curiosity and a butcher.
So speaking of support network, probably the most important micronation to bring up is the Principality of Sealand, which seems to be the micronation that inspired all the modern micronations.
Oh yeah,
it's the one that made everyone else realize, oh, we can just do this, huh?
Yeah. Well, and it's one of the of the category that I was just talking about with Australia. So you had the platform. So it's not just someone declaring, my 1 acre house in the suburbs is that was the whole thing, is the British waters did not include them. They bought this, they owned it. It was not mortgaged or anything. This platform that they were living
on. What type of platform was it? I know it had a radio tower.
It was left over from World War II. It was a anti-aircraft installation. So it was like a giant concrete platform on two concrete pillars that had been built in a harbor, pumped with air, shipped out to the spot where it was going, and then they filled the two columns with water until it settled on the bottom, and then you put anti-aircraft guns on top of it. It was protecting a radar station. Yeah. But
and they used that to play rock music. It was the very first 24-hour radio station in Europe.
Yeah,
so fun fact.
It was an illegal radio station, and then they also got into hosting servers for online gambling, sort of like pre-VPN type stuff, illegal gambling on the internet. Yeah, and they even had a coup. They had a coup. Somebody who was, I don't remember the exact facts, but somebody who was in charge left to go back to the UK to buy groceries or something. And whenever they came back, they found that they weren't being allowed to board again, because I think it was the guy who founded its son had founded the Republic of Sealand and had taken over and had overthrown his father or whoever was running it. And there's a whole sordid mess to who now claims Sealand, the physical property Sealand, who now claims it. But it's now within British territorial waters. Yeah, they extended.
Far more ridiculous examples than that, if you can believe it, out there in the world today.
I hate them so much. I really hate people that just do some wackadoo shit and then they're like, oh, I can just get away with continually doing this. And then they're like, for 30 years, he had a seat at the United Nations because of a clerical error.
It's just a bunch of smarmy, actually kind of individuals who use technicalities to get away with trying to call themselves a nation.
Well, all the stuff I read about it, what really bothered me was they keep trying to justify how legitimate they are, and they all say the same thing. They go, the place even has its own currency and passport and presidential seal. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything.
But my nation today has its own currency, it has its own flag. The person spent a lot of time in Microsoft Paint putting this together, you can tell.
Yeah, just as I don't understand how that makes it any more legitimate.
But I don't think Peter has one.
It does. It is people playing make-believe.
Yeah, just because I never get away with anything. If I did a whole micronation thing, there would be SWAT teams coming through my window. I with my luck, I would be tried and the first person executed for treason against the United States since the Civil War, or whatever the last time somebody was tried for treason. Because I don't get away with whimsical.
It would have been in the Cold War, probably sometime in the 70s.
Yeah, I forgot about the Rosenbergs.
Yeah.
Either way,
actually, yeah.
A lot of real governments today feel more like a bunch of children dreaming about being in positions of power than any real power structure. But the difference is that people believe in them, just like the Uganda guy. Enough people buy into the delusion that nations get away with calling themselves nations. And some do a good job at being nations.
I want to know why there weren't more micronations created during westward expansion. Because that seems like that would be the time to do it, right?
Because back then,
you caught on to what I'm going to talk about.
Oh, was there? Because that was honestly the time when if you could just shoot enough people, you could just claim a bunch of land and be like, "This is my country now," and they would legitimately have to deal with you.
Well,
you played Red Dead Redemption. People did that, and then you just went and shot up their fort, and now their nation is gone.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what you're talking about with westward expansion is basically more or less what the Mormons did.
Yeah.
The Mormons in setting
is your micronation the Mormons?
No.
Because Joseph Smith, he was a prophet.
But it wouldn't have been Joseph Smith. It would have been Brigham Young, because Joseph Smith was dead by the time.
By the time
they started heading out west. Utah. But what they wanted to do initially was they wanted to not be a part of the United States, so they went to Mexican territory. They found the Great Salt Lake. They figured no one else is going to settle here because it's a lake made of salt. And they started setting everything up. And Brigham Young styled himself as president of the Republic of Deseret. And Deseret was a place in the Book of Mormon, I think, or it means something in the Book of Mormon. It's kind of like promised land. They, the Mormons always name things after either something from the Book of Mormon, like the town of Bountiful or Provo, or they name it after like some sort of concept. Like Utah came from the Ute Indians, and Salt Lake City came from it's a city on the Salt Lake. But
right.
And then they also had Nauvoo, Illinois, which for a time, Nauvoo, Illinois in the 1850s, I want to say, was actually growing faster than and had surpassed the population of Chicago. But anyway, Brigham Young, basically, the Mexican government told them, listen, just settle there. We don't care if you're Catholic. We don't care if you speak Spanish. No one else is living there. Don't fuck with the natives and keep keep the federal government of the United States from coming in. The Mormons were like, dude, we are totally on board with not being bothered by the federal government. So fucking bring it. And then the U.S. government caught up with them. Gold was discovered in California. California is the only state in the union, and this needs to get talked about more. California declared itself a state. Yeah. They didn't ask Congress. They just declared themselves a state and then sent a ship around through the Straits of Magellan back up to Washington, D.C. with a contingent with 2 senators and several representatives to say, we're so glad to be a part of the union now. And everyone went, where are you again? And they were like, we're California. We're where all that gold's coming from. And they're like, oh, well, we better make you a state really fast. That's why California got statehood.
Yeah. So they're
infilled after
the offer they shipped over magelled well with Congress.
Yeah.
So what's your micronation, Walda?
Okay, so I'm looking at Amathonia, which is the kingdom of Amathonia. It's a monarchy. It's ruled by a king. It's basically has a ruling family of 4 people. When I say ruling family, I mean they're literally a family. It's a father who's a king, the wife who's a queen. They have 2 children, a prince and a princess. And they let other people join their nation. They have a website, a constitution, a Facebook page with 32 likes on it. And what I love about this micronation, first of all, it's the Muckrakers of micronation, right? It's like a thing that they're doing that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
And it's perfect because it's what a micronation is in a nutshell to me, because the father, the king, he is Ernest Emmanuel von Brandenburg Amathonia. I practiced saying his name before we got on the show. You can also call him King Ernest Emmanuel for short. One day he had a vision, a dream, a prophecy of a physical land to own his own kingdom on, right? And from this dream, he sat down and drew a castle, currency, a flag. Well, let's see if I can, without breaking everything, show off.
Yeah, sorry, I just got kicked off the Wi-Fi. Oh, wow. Yeah.
He drew a castle, and he has a flag, and he has currency. That one has an owl on it.
Nice.
So this guy literally, it looks like a child's like drawing. Like, I made a castle, Daddy.
Yes. But it's
also it looks like he ripped off one of the not the LGBTQ flag, but one of the of the flags.
Show me the flag again. Father, show me the flag again.
It looks like a straight up rip off of just
I can tell you. Hang on.
The asexual awareness or whatever.
No, asexual is a lot of gray. Can't tell. Is the black is
asexual
black at the top?
Is like a circle with a cross through it?
No,
it is.
You're thinking of
it's navy blue, brown.
Either way, if you're just listening to this, if you're not watching the actual video of this podcast,
why are you not? Go to YouTube, please subscribe, ring the bell, comment for the algorithm. All hail the mighty algorithm. May it bless our humble content creators.
Through a lot of trouble to make sure we have video this time around.
Like everything you're describing really makes me just like, this is why I hate micronations, just like in my soul.
Yeah. But it was founded on February 2011 as a virtual kingdom, and his dream of having land came true just 7 years later in 2018 when he bought 40 acres of land and said, "This is it."
This sounds like one of those really dumb televangelists, just like, and the Lord spoke to me. I had a dream that I would design my own flag and have my own currency, and like just like, oh my God, and we all have dreams.
I love their COVID-19 plan.
God
their
really
website
wants me to have a private jet.
Yeah.
Send me money. Send me your seed.
What was their COVID-19 plan?
Yeah, tell us about the COVID-19 plan.
They had the they were going to combat COVID-19 with what the king called the RAC Awards. And you're saying, what the hell does any of that mean? It's because him and his family had to stay inside all the time and they were driving each other crazy. So he came up with the RAC Awards, or Random Acts of Kindness. So everyone in his family has to try to be as nice as possible to one another. And the person who's the nicest that week gets a RAC Award.
See, this is
that's
why
his plan for dealing with COVID-19.
They're doing all
he said, even the macro nations are having trouble dealing with this. So at home in our micro nation, we need to combat it in our own way.
They're doing all the most boring parts of that. Honestly, I did patricide. The son should kill the father and take over. Like,
that would be interesting. You can actually defend the king from patricide if you become a knight of the kingdom of Amazonia.
Can I become a knight, lead a coup as his personal bodyguard, stab him in the night, and then place like his son or cousin on the throne?
Possibly, but in order to do that, first you have to apply through like a PDF on their website and for citizenship. And then once you get citizenship, you have to prove to them that you've committed acts of courage to be eligible for knighthood, and he will review it on a case-by-case basis after you've provided to him evidence of your courage and bravery.
Fuck, I hate this guy so much.
Nice.
And they what I love about this nation is I can't figure out what they're for. Like, I read their constitution and it was nonsense. Like, it was a bunch of words that didn't really say anything.
That's how a lot of people felt about our constitution when they first read it.
Yeah. As far as what I can tell, all they do is they give out like awards and medals for things, right? Like, they make stuff up and then they give prizes for it. But like, I don't know what the prizes are outside of he just notes on the website you won.
Okay, so, where are they at in the world? I want to go and I want to do some actual legitimate horrible stuff.
That is a good question. I can bring up their website again. I don't think it ever actually says Amazonia.
I just want to go.
It's founded under the House of Bromberg. Like,
there's not a Google. There's not like a Google address.
I'm looking.
If you're listening to this, please go to the Kingdom of Amazonia. Murder the king. If someone actually does that,
head of
in the
state,
news, it's going to be great.
It does not say where they are.
Nothing we've learned about these places so far have made me hate them any less. Like,
here's a
I kind of want to.
Here's a picture of where it is.
Generic mountain. Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of want to.
It's not. Whoever made this is just not up for revealing his hidden location. It says it's in the House of Bromberg.
I kind of want to become.
How do you spell the name of the nation again?
Amazonia.
Yeah.
Amethonia.
I
kind of really want to become the.
If you spell it wrong, Google will not find it. I tried that earlier.
I want to become the.
Yeah, I just did. How do you spell it again? Hang on. Whoa. Hang on.
I really want to become the Genghis Khan of micronations.
So it's A-N?
Or A-M.
A-M. E?
Mm-hmm. T-H-O-N-I-A. M is in Mexico.
Oh, I found it. Yeah.
You have to spell it precisely right, or Google's going to be like, I don't know what
Google's
you're
like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you look up like list of micronations on Wikipedia, this one's not listed.
So wait, why do you?
Is it red linked or is it not listed?
Why do you like this?
I heard two different questions.
Wait, what does red linked mean?
Oh, it means that they're like, it is on the Wikipedia page, but there's no Wikipedia page for what has been like. So it's like a blue link.
It's not even red linked.
It's not even red linked. Okay.
It's just not there. That's the amazing part. It's not even red linked on Wikipedia. It's just gone.
No,
maybe they have like their own entry for it elsewhere, but under the actual list of micronations, it's not there.
Oh my God, their website is just trash.
Yeah, their micronation is trash. That's why I want to destroy them.
No, I'm looking at, so I clicked on special project, and it's from, it's called Project Cambodian Hope. Starts with a Bible quote, so we're out the gate, really strong. Love it.
There we go.
Yes.
And whoever in the name of a disciple gives to one of these little ones even a cup of cold water to drink, truly I say to you, he shall not lose his reward. Matthew chapter 10, verse 22. They are committed
Unless
to...
you're in Georgia, in which case you're going to jail for giving someone else water.
Oh, I saw something really fucking bad. It's so true, but so fucking bad. And it was protesters in the 50s and 60s getting the water cannons turned on them, and they said police will be there to give voters water if should they need some. I was like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not... Who made that? Was it a far right person or a far left person? I can't tell.
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so he has set up, it's like a fund to help just Cambodia. It doesn't really give any, it's just talking about like Cambodia needs water, and so they're sending water to Cambodia. I guess they're just FedExing it there. Like, you send them the water or you send them money. The queen runs out to Costco, picks up some pallets, and then, drives it down to the FedEx store, and there we go.
All these gosh darn envelopes are soaked. Because this seems like the kind of people that would just dump water into like a box and then mail the box. Like a regular cardboard box.
Did not understand why it's not there when it arrives.
Yeah,
water go? We shipped it.
I put the water in the box.
Yeah, fuck that guy. So why did you pick these people? I really want to do horrible things like just to their country.
They're just sort of quintessential. Like they're the mean, the average of what these micronations truly are.
There was one micronation that
like, this is a micronation and a microcosm. This is absolutely the essence of what it is to be a micronation.
Dude, if I was a kid,
if Plato was talking about them, it would be micronation capitalized.
If I was a kid and my dad did some shit like that, I would declare my bedroom an enclave of my own country. Like, we're a country that's in a country, completely surrounded by a country that's completely surrounded by another country, like Babistan or something like that. And we are violently trying to liberate the rest of the house.
The last place I want to start a country is in a home with my family. That would be terrible.
Otherwise, you'll need the rack awards when COVID comes down.
Oh my God. I really want to become the Genghis Khan of micronations. I want to go around and destroying them all, unifying them under my iron fist, and then we'll have like the rack of...
You just show up at someone's house with a catapult full of plague victims, and just start lobbing it at this 4-bedroom ranch out in the middle of fucking Montana.
I want to do the full
Peter, I feel like he would build like castles and log cabins and all kinds of stuff out in the woods, and then try to just declare it his own nation afterwards, like as an afterthought. Just like, the property tax on all this is going to be too much. Better turn it into a micronation.
Yeah, I just want to destroy
just for fun.
I want to destroy them and then bring back the rack awards, but we just put everybody on the rack. And they're like, these rack awards suck.
Whoever lives the longest wins an award.
Yeah, exactly. What do you win? You get to watch everyone else die.
All right. So, y'all ready for mine?
Yes.
Mine is this guy. Now, I know you probably can't read that, but let me take you on a little trip, okay? It's the 1800s, because this micronation is the OG fucking legendary, all right? It's great. So a man by the name of Joshua Abraham Norton, he is an English national. He's Jewish, but he's left England with his family whenever he was a child. They all resettled in South Africa, in Cape Town. And after both of his parents died, whenever he was in his 20s, he decided to immigrate to the New World. And he wound up in San Francisco. In San Francisco, he gets into commodities trading, basically mostly foodstuffs, mostly rice. Rice is being grown in Central America as a cash crop, and it is being exported to both the United States as well as China and Japan and Korea, which I believe Korea was by the 1850s. I believe Korea was already a part of Japan, but like they had been conquered. or Japan was trying. Anyway,
Japan was kind of the ultimate micronation, weren't they? Like they would just be like, we're a nation and now we're going to just take over other stuff too.
Well, they were recognized by outside governments. However, let me continue, because this guy, he takes the cake. So in about 1849-ish, there's a rice shortage in China. They had a bad crop yield. They're importing rice from wherever they can get it, and Peruvian rice has just dropped to the bottom, has come up in value, but only to 12 cents a pound. So he's buying up all the rice that he possibly can, and then after his rice gets there, the price drops to 4 cents a pound. So he is screwed. He's absolutely screwed. Turns out the crop yield in China was not as bad as everyone thought it was. Peruvian rice is just fucking flatlining in the market. He is fucked. Essentially, he lost a shit ton of money on the rice, and then he tried to sue his suppliers.
So this is the GameStop of the 1840s.
Yes,
I was going to say, so apparently rice
Yeah.
Rice was like gold for Republicans now, where they're all like, "Hey, old people, get a second mortgage. Yeah, invest in gold."
So he lost all of his money in rice, which is a ridiculous sentence for anyone to say. He lost all his money in rice, but then he lost the rest of his fortune. He lost the rest of his fortune in lawsuits with his suppliers, because he sued them. He was like, how dare you? You misled me. And of course, the courts just basically laughed him out. They're like, yeah, you're out. You're out like, whatever 1850s equivalent of $1 million is, but you're flat broke. All of his property gets repossessed. All of his possessions get sold off to pay his debts, and leaving him absolutely fucking broke and penniless. He went away from San Francisco for a few years, and then when he returned, oh boy, he was pants shitting insane. He was out of his fucking mind.
I think I remember a story about this guy, but continue with the insanity.
So he was homeless in San Francisco and began declaring himself the Emperor of America. And after Napoleon III invaded Mexico, he declared himself Emperor of America and Protector of Mexico. Now, here's the crazy thing. So he spent what looked like he was begging for money, and people would send him money. So he sent to be printed in all of the San Francisco newspapers. It was 1859, on September 17th, 1859, they published it, his proclamation of his emperorship. And I got to read this to you because I have a word count that I have to reach, so I'm going to use the most language that I can. It was like, they'll give you a deal if it's exactly 500 words in the newspaper, So he says, as a preemptory request and desire of a large majority of the citizens of these United States, I, Joshua Norton, formerly of Algoa Bay, Cape of Good Hope, and now for the last 9 years and 10 months of San Francisco, California, declare and proclaim myself Emperor of these United States, and in virtue of the authority thereby vested in me, I do hereby order the direct representatives of the different states of the Union to assemble in Music Hall of San Francisco on the first day of February next year, then and there to make such alterations in existing laws of the Union as may ameliorate, AMELIORATE. Never heard of it before.
I know what that word
but
means.
This is the time period where Congress had 2 Fs, so it's fine. The evils under which the country is laboring, and hereby cause confidence to exist both at home and abroad in our stability and integrity. Signed, Norton I, Emperor of these United States. So he goes on. A few of the newspapers pick it up. It becomes kind of like a little hit story. Like, people are like, oh, look at the homeless guy, he's fucking crazy. People start taking him seriously, like, ironic. They start taking him seriously, ironically, to the point where they started printing, because remember, San Francisco is a mint town. They started printing money this month. They started printing this money. And it's still worth something today. But here's the thing. San Francisco businesses took it. They took it as legitimate money, mostly just from him, but like from any, if like a poor person had a Norton dollar, they would accept it. And to this day,
Oh, that's nice.
buildings. There are buildings in San Francisco that have, you know, a plaque on the side of it, just like how the Queen has like a tailor, and they have a plaque on the building in London that says, like, you know, tailor to Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth II, and that's like, you know, a point of pride. There are still places in San Francisco that's like, you know, Emperor Norton once ate here, and his currency is good in the eyes of this business owner. And one of the greatest things about Emperor Norton is that he lobbied for the construction of the Bay Bridge, not the Golden Gate, the Bay Bridge connecting to Oakland. And there is a push right now, because they've just redone half of the bridge, is brand new. There's a push right now to get it renamed Emperor Norton I Memorial Bridge.
That would be dope. That would be
cool. So fucking dope. There's so many stories about this guy. He for a day and a half, he declared himself the Pope so that he could preside. Well, it gets even better. He declared himself the Pope so that he could preside over a very good dog's funeral. I mean, this guy is just fucking legendary. He then sent out a proclamation claiming that the entire Congress of the United States is illegal and that his agents were coming to arrest them. And this was printed in not just San Francisco newspapers, but like Chicago and New York and Boston. Like, people wanted to know.
This is just like old school Twitter. Like,
this guy. So this guy is like
century and a half before the likes of Cardi B. He was our first meme emperor.
Yeah, he's kind of what he's like QAnon. If QAnon was
the whole
nice,
arrest, they're illegitimate. I'm coming to arrest him does make me think of Q.
Yeah, if Q was nice and was just doing nice things, like, did you hear about the conspiracy? We're gonna go adopt some dogs. Get in, loser.
Well, he also heavily prosecuted. He also heavily prosecuted "quote unquote" foreigners, meaning people coming from places that weren't San Francisco, for calling the city Frisco. That was a big no-no. You don't call San Francisco Frisco.
Actually, no, never mind. That's nothing like Trump. That's actually
in the presence of Emperor.
That's a hilarious rule to me, but it's one that I can get behind.
You know, my problem with people like this is it's always like it's a fun story, and then like there's all like, and later in life,
and also he had 12 child brides or something horrifying.
Or like he will die spewing anti-Semitic slogans in the gutter. You know, like there's always something.
Sadly, Emperor Norton died. Let me see. It was oh wait, I almost forgot. Also,
he died. Oh shit, he's still alive.
Diplomacy. Pedro II, Emperor of Brazil. This is the actual Emperor of Brazil. Brazil is the only country in North America to have a monarchy that actually sat on a throne that was in the Americas. Very few people know about that. Basically, the Spanish kicked off a wild war on the Iberian Peninsula, and the royal family and a lot of the court of Portugal skedaddled away to Brazil. And a really funny story about that: on the way, they all caught head lice and had to shave their heads. So whenever they got to port, all the men are fine being bald, but the women did like these big, you know, how you sometimes see women in Brazil have like this big, you know, cone-shaped sort of head wrapping. And they did it because they had to shave their head and they were ashamed to not have any hair. And that's why Brazilian women do that to this day. It was not a thing until the royalty did it, simply because of lice. But they thought that, oh, this must be the European style. They're showing us this wonderful stuff. Anyway.
It's a European cut.
I
said it's a European cut.
It's a European cut to just shave your head and wear a towel. Yeah. No, so Pedro II actually got to meet, whenever he was on vacation in the United States, he got to meet and talk with him at one of Norton's favorite restaurants. Queen Victoria was sent multiple pieces of correspondence from Emperor Norton. Don't really know if she ever got them, or they were just like, hey, this is a crazy, you know, yank on the other side of the ocean. And he suggested that he and she should get married in order to strengthen the bonds between the United States Empire and the British Empire.
See, that's fun.
Kamehameha V, also
Hawaii.
From Hawaii. Yeah, Kamehameha V, they maintained a little bit of a
They actually communicated?
Yeah. In fact, near the end of his reign, recognized Norton as the sole leader of the United States.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Amazing trivia. Now, Mexico, in the 1860s, Mexico was, of course, invaded by the French, Napoleon III, for not being able to pay war reparations. I'm basically just reading the fucking Wikipedia page. But anyway, they lost. But they won, and they installed Maximilian I as the first emperor of Mexico.
Not go well.
It was just a puppet ruler controlled by the French, and somebody suggested to Emperor Norton that he should take on the title Protector of Mexico, and he took on the task, and he's like, yeah, we need to get the French out of Mexico. They need to be a democracy again. Anyway, he sadly died. He sadly died. When did he die? I'm trying to look for it. Oh, on the evening of January 8th, 1880, he collapsed on the corner of California Street and what is now Grant Avenue in front of Old St. Mary's Cathedral while on his way to lecture at the California Academy of the Sciences. His collapse was immediately noticed, and the police officer on beat hastened for a carriage to convey him to the Old City Receiving Hospital. And according to the day's obituary in the San Francisco Morning Call, he died before that carriage could arrive. They said, on reeking pavement in the darkness of a moonless night, under a dripping rain, Norton I, by the grace of God, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico, has departed this life. 2 days later, San Francisco Chronicles led its article on Norton's funeral with the headline, Le Roi est mort. In French, the king is dead.
Oh,
damn!
Absolutely fucking legend, dude. Like
probably one of the best kings that's ever lived.
Like, that micronation gotta like. Come on, he held a funeral for a dog as a pope. Like and people took his money. They actually took his money as payment.
That's my favorite part, is that people recognize his currency just as a joke. They're like, screw it, yeah, sure, we'll take it.
Well, I mean, that's
further proof that money,
right? It all started as a joke, and then now it's a currency.
It's definitely the most legitimate micronation. Like, I don't remember which one I read about. Is they claim a bunch of land in, I think, Croatia, but it's in a very inaccessible part of Croatia. And I'm like, isn't that the problem with Croatia? Don't like 6 different ethnic groups all claim land and murder each other? Like, you can't be like, hey, you know that no man's land? I also claim land there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there is one micronation, because whenever we were talking about setting this episode up, like the premise for it, I think Peter, you were the one that said it, was well, what about a micronation that's all online? Well, that's been done. And there's one, I forget what it's fucking called. I meant to go through the list, but once I remembered Emperor Norton, I was like, that's a micronation. I can just do that. And he's also like one of my favorite people in American history, up there with like John Brown and Emma Gold.
What do you think John Brown did for fun, or where John Brown would go on vacation, by the way? I always wonder about that.
Oh, I think John Brown for fun on vacation, he would definitely travel to Haiti to volunteer on a firing squad. Like that would be be John Brown having fun. Like, yeah.
He's like the guy you go on vacation with, and then he wants to go see the old forts, but then like wants to spend hours examining like the brick masonry and stuff. And you're like, oh my God, this guy's, he's like, isn't this vacation great? And you're like, it's hot. There are bugs. I'm tired of looking at bricks.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain to a mortar enthusiast why it's boring.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, he would be
these exploded shells. They're so fascinating. It's like, can we leave this cannon though?
So it's after, whenever Emperor Norton died, they found out that despite rumors of a amassed wealth, eccentric millionaire living on the street, talking crazy nonsense with foreign royalty, basically, they discovered his lodging, which was basically at a flop house. And they discovered he had a $5 coin and two $1 coins to his name, and that was it. And so
they also found out he had head lice, which is where the Van Dyke beard comes from today.
Exactly. So according to Wikipedia, Members of a San Francisco Businessmen's Association called the Pacific Club established a fund that provided for a handsome rosewood casket and arranged a dignified farewell. His funeral was held on the 10th of January, 1880, and apparently there were more than 10,000 people that lined in the streets. Is 2 miles long. Like, that's a New Orleans funeral right there, boys. That's what that is. But yeah. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, no, Emperor Norton, absolute fucking badass. The guy's amazing. Yeah. So Peter, are you sure you want to like go into one? You don't want to talk?
I just worked very hard to turn our one listener, Wesley Bowen, into the next Emperor Norton. Except we'll be his hype men. We'll be the ones walking around telling everyone Wesley is king of America.
I just all the list. Like there's one in Florida that was kind of fun. They formed in the Keys, I think, when something was going on with traffic.
The Conch Republic.
Yeah, and they throw bread at
absolutely amazing story.
Yeah, they throw bread at people now. Like it's a whole like.
So I know, guys. I told you. I could talk about this for hours, but the Conch Republic is really fucking great. So at the height of the Cuban immigration crisis, we had what was called wet foot and dry foot locations. So if you're caught trying to immigrate to the United States, like you're fleeing Cuba, but you're caught on the boat, that's wet foot, you're going back to Cuba. If you're caught on the beach or inland, that's dry foot, and you're allowed to get processed as a refugee.
See, that sounds a lot more fun. Why can't we just simplify immigration with something like that? You know what I mean? Like
people that are skilled enough to make it all the way here get to have what do you call it? Clemency, and everyone else is
we'll call it
to their deaths.
Yeah, we'll call it
anyway.
We'll call it red light, green light. You know what I mean? It'll be great. Anyway.
So this wet foot, dry foot was working pretty well for a while. Until I want to say it was the Nixon administration sort of put some dampers on that, and they set up a basically a papers please checkpoint on the coastal highway, the one highway into and out of the Florida Keys, and it was on the way out of Key West. And so this was tying up traffic, and tourists were getting stuck in line, and it was hurting business and everything. And they were constantly writing their Congress people and their senators, like, you have to get this taken down. This is absolutely fucking crazy. And finally, the mayor just snapped and said, we're being treated like foreign soil. So fuck this. We're going to found our own country. And they founded the Conch Republic, and they held a big demonstration where they all walked out to the border checkpoint, and the commander of the border guard there walked out to confront the mayor about, what the fuck are you tying up traffic, and he just ceremoniously took out a piece of bread and broke it over the guy's head, and then held up his hands to be arrested, and that was the rebellion of the Conch Republic. And to this day, the Key West airport, on the security side, facing the airplanes as they're coming up to the gate, says, "Welcome to the Conch Republic."
I will say I don't hate them, because that seems like a real fun Jimmy Buffett, you know what I mean? Like step on a pop rock, kind of like. But with the
breaking bread over someone's head, like putting the flour in the barrel of the gun. It's a nice symbolic gesture.
I think Jimmy Buffett actually has a song about the Conch Republic. Somebody does. I've heard it.
He probably does. Like, listen, like if it has to do with beaches or being lazy on a beach, I swear to God, Jimmy Buffett's got a song about it.
He has his own brand of retirement homes now.
I knew that he has, much like Toby Keith, has his own
Margaritaville.
Yeah, he's got like, because I took a cruise once and they were like, Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. Just like
lost shaker or something.
No, but now Margaritaville has grown out and into a planned retirement community, and I cannot imagine a fresher kind of hell. Like, if you were to take me and say your eternity in hell is you're stuck in a room, you can choose. You're either stuck in a room with Ben Shapiro and he won't shut up, or you have to live the rest of your life in a Margaritaville themed retirement community. I would say fucking Shapiro, let's go.
I don't know, man. That's tough.
Be drunk on margaritas the whole time?
No, because you're old and it'll counteract with your medication, so you can't even drink.
Yeah.
I'll get off my meds.
Really, Margaritaville is just a cover for the white ethno state that the old baby boomers crave. You know what I mean? They're like, it's mighty nice.
The next micronation.
Yeah. They're like, it's mighty nice here, but Margaritaville, or everybody is old and white and, can't live here if they make under so much money a year. It's perfect.
Everyone's sober, stone cold sober, so they can listen to Grandpa's stories.
America,
exactly. Well, I think that's our episode on micronations for today.
Yeah, kind of a short one.
We made it through.
Yeah,
a couple minutes early too. Not much, but
all right. Well, if anybody is actually listening to this, hit me up on Twitter at Captain Bobbers. It's CAPTBOBBERS. And YouTube channel of the week. I didn't do this last week because I was about to pee myself. I don't know. Go check out Philosophy Tube. Madame Philosophy. She's got a new episode up right now. It's on Jordan Peterson's new book and the concept of philosophical structuralism. It is explained in plain English.
Was it? I meant to ask. Sorry, wasn't Jordan Peterson the asshole
dad?
He was the lobster dad.
He was lobster dad. Look up, just Google.
Okay,
whenever we get off of this, look up Jordan Peterson lobster dad, and I'll send you a video. And it'll make sense.
Pat,
basically he's a conservative blowhard psychologist from Canada who got famous briefly about 7 years ago for claiming that Canada changing its hate crime law to include trans people would result in full-blown Nazism, and that it was an Orwellian nightmare. He said, and I quote,
pretend like transgender people don't exist, and if you say they do, they're all like, it's Nazis. What?
Yeah, but it's very the Nazis. The Nazis famously LGBTQ inclusive, famously,
because I mean they had they had whole
definitely
brigades of them wearing pink triangles, so they definitely.
Oh yeah, they gave us really nice
fact.
Yeah.
Very fun fact about that: Nazis are the reason why pink is a feminine color and blue is a masculine color. It was vice versa before the Nazis. Because they wanted pink to represent homosexuals. So like overnight, the rest of the world found out about that. They're like, oh, we're not gay. So they wanted pink to no longer be a guy color because they didn't want to be associated with that. Because, I mean, people weren't ready to say that Nazis were a bunch of Nazis yet. Like that would be, what do you call it?
I just want to say
they just decided to let that dictate fashion for the rest of the world.
It seems like one
Before
side.
then, pink was considered very masculine because it's the color of blood. So they're all like, well, we want to glorify blood and bleeding in battle. That way people want to be soldiers. So, you're stronger if you wear pink.
I will say one side really loves to use Orwell, but I feel like have not really consumed the Orwellian media that they like to yell about.
And here's the thing is that like Orwell not only loved the anarchist and socialist revolutionaries in Spain whenever all that was going on and Franco was trying to do a fascism, or rather was in the act of doing a fascism. But Orwell straight up said, if I had to put a fine point on my politics, I would say that I lean towards those of the Social Democrat.
and Republicans like, that's an Orwellian nightmare. I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess
have you read The Fountainhead? I think you should really read The Fountainhead. Zack Snyder wants to make a Fountainhead movie. Shoot me in the face.
Ayn Rand is the worst thing to ever happen to literature. Anyway,
oh my God,
hit him with the socials.
So
hit him with the socials, Wilder, before I go off on Ayn Rand.
All right. So if you want to contact us, you can do so at thosemuckrakers@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at thosemuckrakers. Send us your thoughts, comments, anything. Email us your stories. We can read them on the air if you'd like.
Yeah. Subjects to do.
And also, if you'd like to support us financially, you can do so by actually a number of ways. You can watch us, give us likes, increase our what do you call it?
Reach
metric. Yeah.
Reach.
Tell other people about us, like turn it into a whole pyramid scheme. Tell two people, tell them to tell two people. You can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, on YouTube. You can see the video. YouTube is like at youtube.com/Thriftington Post because I don't know. I've never started a Muckrakers YouTube channel.
That's fine.
Go
forth and spread the word, just like annoying evangelicals. Be like, Go up to random strangers, be uncomfortably kind, and be like, "Hey, have you listened to the Muckrakers yet?"
It's this new thing.
Go door to door like Mormons.
Things on the internet.
Yeah.
If you go to enough door-to-door places, we can find our own Salt Lake City and start our own micronation of Mucktoria.
In Beer to Will, it has been spoken. We will found the kingdom of Beer to Will.
We will.
And also, if you'd like to give us some dollars, you can buy Dust Belt Book 1 or 2. Book 3 will be out sometime by 2024, and then maybe Book 4 will be out by 2030.
Sweet. All right, guys. We'll see you next week when we come up with something else super fun.
Yay!
Yay!
All right.
Figure out a stop.